Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our Talks with Walt, as we're calling our readings to the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We're in the Calamus section, and we turn now to a very interesting little poem, Fast Anchored, Eternal, O Love. And of course, again, notice that kind of strange syntax or word order that makes you kind of pause and look at it again. Now here, we're going to see Whitman meeting Plato's Symposium. We've given lectures elsewhere at LearnStrong.net on Plato. And the idea of symposium, of course, that tension between love and lust. Of course, go back and take a look at Sonnet 116 of Shakespeare. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments, right? That idea that there is this thing called love versus this thing called lust. And we're going to definitely be playing that game here with Whitman. Now, our assumption is that you've been following our stuff at LearnStrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Talks with Walt playlist. Everything from inscriptions all the way up to the poem we just covered, To a Western Boy. Norton's, in the background information, will tell us that both in the Barrett manuscript and in the 1860 text, the first line of this Calamus number 38 poem reads, quote, "Primal my love for the woman I love," end quote. In all editions, Fast Anchored lacks the hyphen in the title. It's interesting now to take a look at it. The adjustments and the editings that Whitman made leave scholars obviously always a bit puzzled. To begin with, Fast Anchored. We'll now enjoy the poem. Fast anchored, eternal, O love, O woman I love, O bride, O wife, more resistless than I can tell the thought of you. Then, separate, as disembodied or another born, ethereal, the last athletic reality, my consolation. I ascend, I float in the regions of your love, O man, O sharer of my roving life. Now, there's been a lot of debate and kind of speculation on the part of scholars about what Whitman is doing in this poem to suggest that first he started out having love for a woman and then as a consolation a love for a man. There's an interesting kind of tension at play here. Or are we talking about different levels of love versus lust? Let's work with the poem to see. Fast anchored, well, in Song of Myself, passage 33, you'll remember I anchored my ship for a little while only, right? Fast anchored, eternal, and then the use of the repetition of this O. 6 times we're going to hear this O, love, O, woman I love. Notice all of these exclamation marks as well. O, bride, O, wife. We've obviously seen references to brides and wives already in Leaves of Grass. More resistless than I can tell. That is a construction we've seen in Leaves of Grass. More blank than I can tell, more words than I can tell. The thought of you. So the first 2 lines, how amazing his love for a woman is. This takes us, of course, back to Children of Adam section. But then you have this transition word, then. Then. Separate. Now this word separate is an interesting use of the word. To separate, to come apart, to somehow recognize a difference, we might say, as disembodied or another born. Now the use of the disembodied immediately takes us to Plato's Symposium, doesn't it, right? Ethereal. The only use of that word in all of Leaves of Grass. I find that fascinating. The last, athletic, obviously we've seen that word a number of times in Leaves of Grass. Reality, my consolation. Now that's interesting, right? That is to say, the second best love. The second best love for him, consolation love. That is to say, men, maybe we would say. By the way, this word consolation, used only 4 times in Leaves of Grass. My consolation, I ascend. Remember in Song of Myself, passage 25, we ascend dazzling as the sun, or passage 46, I ascended a hill. That notion of going up, very Platonic. I think, go back and look at our lectures on Plato, but I think that this poem is a very Platonic poem. Whitman, very influenced by the philosophy of Plato. I float, remember, and I sing the body electric, passage 6, the use of the word float. I float in the regions of your love, O man, O sharer. And that word share immediately takes us to Conrad's secret share, doesn't it? Of my roving life. This word roving, you'll remember it in Song of the Open Road. When we get there, we'll hear that recognition. The use roving, it's a fascinating word. And this word is the only use of this word specifically in Leaves of Grass. The roving life, the searching life, The Odyssean life is all for Whitman so precious. What are our messages here? Well, at 2a, obviously friendship or love is higher somehow for him than maybe we would constitute as sexual love or lust, right? At 2b, again, the repetition of that word over and over again. Notice the rhetorical argument that's being played out here as well. At 3a, we've mentioned Plato's Symposium, obviously, Sonnet 116 of Shakespeare. Go back and take a look at what we said as well about marvels to his coy mistress as a way, and to the virgins to make much of time, as a distinction in poetry between love and lust. Finally, to ask the question, to own it yourself, do you really make a distinction between love and lust? And if so, how? And if so, what? And to what degree is your reading of Whitman beginning to kind of change some of your views on all of those words? Thank you.